She was just a waitress, working a late shift in a fancy restaurant where billionaires dined. But when one powerful man reached for a contract worth millions, she whispered a warning, "Don't sign that." The entire room froze. Why would a black waitress risk everything to stop him? What she knew could destroy reputations, end careers, and expose a truth no one wanted revealed. Was she saving him or sealing her own fate? What happened next shocked everyone in the room, and it will leave you speechless. It was supposed to be just another shift. Maya, a hardworking waitress, moved between tables with practiced ease, smiling when she had to, swallowing the stare she wished she didn't notice. She'd worked here for years, serving the wealthy who barely saw her, just a face in a uniform. Tonight was no different, or so she thought. The clinking of glasses, the low murmur of deals being made, the sharp scent of expensive wine. Everything felt routine. But as the clock ticked toward midnight, a group of powerful men gathered at the corner table. Papers were spread, pens poised. Maya's instincts told her something wasn't right. She didn't know it yet, but in just moments, her life and theirs would collide in a way no one expected. Maya balanced a tray of wine glasses as she approached the corner table. The men were laughing, their voices low but commanding, the kind of tone that made the rest of the room shrink. One of them, a silver-haired billionaire she'd seen in the news, was flipping through a thick contract. His pen hovered above the page. But then Maya saw something. A name, a company. It was a detail most would have missed, but she knew better. That company had destroyed her cousin's neighborhood, shutting out black families, forcing people from their homes under the guise of development. The papers she saw weren't just business. They were signatures of erasure. Her chest tightened. She wanted to look away, to remind herself she was just a waitress. Invisible, disposable. But when the billionaire adjusted his glasses and leaned down to sign, Maya's voice escaped her before fear could stop it. "Don't sign that." The words cut through the air like glass shattering. The laughter stopped. Every eye at the table turned toward her. For a heartbeat, the entire restaurant went silent. The billionaire's assistant sneered, his voice sharp. "Excuse me? Do your job and keep quiet." Maya's hand shook, but she didn't back down. "That contract, do you even know what it does? Do you know who it hurts?" A murmur swept through the room. Customers craned their necks. Some chuckled, others frowned, but most just stared, waiting for the fallout. The billionaire raised an eyebrow, curiosity flickering in his gaze. "And what exactly makes you the expert?" Her voice cracked, but she forced it out. "Because my family lived where that company built progress. I watched kids play in the rubble of homes they tore down. I watched neighbors vanish with nothing but the clothes on their backs. And now you want to give them more power?" Gasps whispered across the dining room. A few guests shifted uncomfortably, but no one stood up for her. That was the unspoken rule. Don't challenge money and never challenge. The billionaire's stare cut through Maya like a blade. For a moment, it felt like the whole restaurant had vanished. Just him, her, and the weight of a decision that could destroy her life. Then came the laughter. Not from him, but from his table. Sharp, mocking, venomous. "Look at her," one man sneered. A waitress lecturing billionaires. "This is what happens when you give people like her a voice." The words hit Maya harder than she expected, but she didn't flinch. She couldn't. Her pulse raced, her throat burned, but her eyes never left his. "You want the truth?" she said, voice shaking but steady. "That contract you're about to sign, people like me have already paid for it. Paid with our homes, our futures, our dignity. And now you're asking us to disappear quietly while you profit?" The assistant stood, finger jabbing toward her like a weapon. "This is insubordination. Throw her out. Now." A manager rushed forward, pale and nervous, whispering apologies to the table as if Maya's very existence was a stain on their silverware. He reached for her arm. Maya pulled back. "You can throw me out, you can fire me, but you can't erase what's written in those papers. You can't erase what your decisions do to families like mine." The room crackled with tension. Diners watched, some with discomfort, others with cruel delight. Phones quietly lifted to record. Maya's worst fear loomed over her. not just losing her job, but becoming another example of what happens when a black woman dares to speak truth to power. And then, the billionaire spoke. His voice was quiet, but every syllable carried weight. "Everyone out. Leave the papers." The table froze. Confusion rippled. One by one, the men hesitated, then reluctantly pushed back their chairs. The assistant protested, but a single look from his boss silenced him. Now it was just Maya and the billionaire. His pen rested on the untouched contract. His eyes, sharp and unreadable, fixed on her. "You just risked everything." Maya stood there trembling, but she met his gaze with all the strength she had left. "Because I lived it," she whispered. "Because behind every signature like this, there's a family who loses everything. And because silence is what allows it to keep happening." For the first time all night, the billionaire didn't look untouchable. He leaned back, tapping the contract with the tip of his pen, as though weighing more than numbers, history, consequences, lives. Then, with a sharp motion, he tore the papers in half. The sound echoed louder than the clinking glasses or hushed whispers around them. Gasps filled the room. Maya couldn't tell if they were shocked by his decision or by the fact that her voice had mattered at all. She wasn't rehired. Her job was gone before the night ended. But her story spread, first through shaky cell phone videos, then across headlines. Some praised her courage, others dismissed her as reckless. Yet one truth remained. She had spoken when silence was safer, and that choice forced people to see what they'd rather ignore. For Maya, the scars were permanent. The fear, the humiliation, the loss. But so was the lesson. Racism doesn't only appear in shouted slurs or violent acts. Sometimes it hides in contracts, in boardrooms, in the quiet decisions that erase entire communities without a sound. And for those who watched, who listened, the question hung heavy. If one waitress could risk everything to tell the truth, what excuse do the rest of us have for staying silent? Because her story wasn't just about her. It was about all of us. And it leaves us with a choice: look away or finally